It almost sounded at first that I've already read this part, but I checked and it doesn't seem like I have, so here goes. Social systems. Hierarchies of learning are evident in all social systems. These systems of self-organized holodynes come from environmental input as modeled by society, from holodynes formed from social created beliefs, taboos, myths, traditions, and lifestyles. They also come from information systems inherent from ancestral genetics and from hyperspatial dimensions. Such hierarchies are composed of collective held holodynes that self-organize into social systems. They have a mind of their own. As a mother that raised 4 kids, I did my very, very best to teach my kids right from wrong. As soon as they ended up leaving the house, it was society that had more of an influence than I had. You can't fight the influence of society. For Sarah Palin to say that you are responsible for your own actions, that society doesn't influence you, that is such a pile of crap. That society, for the most part, creates your behavior. If you want to fit in, you have to fit in with the way society goes. There's massive highways in Toronto. They're like 12 lanes long. They have a speed limit. Everybody goes at least 50 miles or 50 kilometers over the speed limit. You're dead if you don't follow that rule. You're just not going to be safe on Toronto highways if you actually go the speed limit. So what does everybody do? They go with the flow of the traffic. You have to. So for a shooter to it's our politicians. They kill. That's all they do is support war. They talk about peace, but they never follow through on their peace discussions. Every single politician, every corporation is greed and do harm to man. And then when you see one person, not a corporation, not a politician, acting exactly like corporations and like our politics, our government, then you think he's crazy. How is one crazy? If one person behaves exactly the same as the whole, and we're going to label one person crazy and not the whole? Just makes no sense whatever. But it is our professionals that are telling us what bullshit, and these professionals are frankly insane. Don't know much. Anyways, churches, clubs, associations, business, governments, and other forms of social systems are the carrier of collective holodynes. Usually these collective holodynes are held in common by participants, and thus social systems take on their own causal potency. Churches and clubs, for example, develop in their devotees a certain style of dress, manner, and speech, and secret or often subconscious mannerisms, such as secret handshakes, special blessings, sacraments, or greetings by which they can recognize one another and afford special privileges reserved only for those members. Sound familiar? Information, sometimes sent via the quantum potential field at hyperspeed, is transmitted by constant communication among members. This information feeds the collective and creates collective action. Special meetings reserved for members only cultivate such group mentality. History is replete with collective experience, such as group revelations or altered states of being. Within, participants experience states of consciousness that are not reproduced outside of their group. Most tribes adhere to the tribal mind. Hinduism cultivated group revelations. Buddha proposed a collective union with everything. Judaism proposed the oneness that is one God, and created a process by which one person could speak for the one God and reveal God's laws. Christianity added the ingredient of love as a universal reality, a principle-driven universe consciousness. Muhammad added the dimension of social ritual. From a transmillennial perspective, each major world religion has a mind of its own, and yet taken on as a whole, each religion's social system is part of an emerging hierarchy of development of collective consciousness. And if you think religion hasn't screwed up the world, how many people belong to a religion and look at a global experience? It's like, get rid of your religions because they're destroying the planet. The next one is principle-driven collective consciousness. Love has a mind of its own. Faith as a principle of action also has its own causal potency. Trust, honesty, honor, integrity, and other such principles provide some of the most powerful driving motivational aspects of human consciousness. No theory of consciousness would be complete without including those holodynes that embody such principles. They have their own place within the infrastructure of reality. Piaget, Piaget, and Kohlberg, two of the most prolific and fastidious researchers on developmental orders of humans, outline the stages of growth through which the humans evolve until values, ethics, and principles emerge. Spiritualists pick up this same dimension and insist that the world is created by love or by a supreme power who exhibits love. Even hardened and desperate businessmen will agree that honesty is an unidentifiable ingredient in the success of any venture. These principles are held to be true in all cultures and societies. They take on different forms, but the underlying value of the universe. We are principle-driven people. Well, today we have no principles. We have no morals. Definitely not within our corporate structure. The next one is universality in the universe. Throughout history, humans have placed great value on those few individuals who have achieved enlightenment, to the extent that they are inseparably connected to everything, everyone, and everywhen. Universality is a state of which prophets, seers, revelators, aviators, saints, gurus, shamans, and the spiritual holy men and women achieve a state of being whole or one with reality. Such evolved beings often display remarkable psychic powers, healing the sick, foretelling the future, or solving complex problems. Developmentalists assert that such enlightened beings seem to be the byproduct of natural order of growth by which hierarchies of learning emerge to unfold the potential of humankind and to recognize our oneness with reality. Universality seems to have a mind of its own and exerts a collective pull to which humankind seems drawn. Hey. Cognitive science, for example, can accept the idea of holodynes, microtubulars, and self-organized information systems, yet only a few select scientists seem to have embraced the hyperspatial reality with its parallel dimensions, or seen the function of transformation in the hierarchies of learning. The science of consciousness has focused too long on neural networking, and its adherents still use mostly linear classical physics. Adherents seek a mechanistic solution to the formation of consciousness. Their focus is upon molecule and cellular construction, and they see consciousness as one aspect of personality that evolves from biochemical neural networking. It seems to me that they strain at the gaunt and miss the canal. Since their model has not yet included quantum dynamics, they have not yet integrated quantum coherence and quantum potential field dynamics. The swarm intelligence dynamics of collective consciousness are ignored, as are the hyperspatial planes. The result is that cognitive scientists and those who apply this science in the field, such as neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, the Forum, and other sensitivity training groups, have limited the degree of effectiveness they might otherwise enjoy. They have isolated themselves to a theoretical framework too small to encompass more than neural networking. While their part is, in itself, a valuable piece of the puzzle, neural networking is much more complex than any linear and mechanism model could encompass. Simply put, even perception, such as visual sight, has three distinct systems of sensory processing occurring at the same time: particle, wave, and presence as the holodynamic state of consciousness. A particle perception processes occur mostly in the fine-grained cells of the fovea of the eye and provide content to imagery. If the fovea is destroyed, a reader cannot read the letters of the word on a page. B. Wave perception processes occur on the gross-grained cells of the peripheral and provide wave reference and give content to what is perceived. Holodynamic perception is inclusive. Perception is a state of being present that reflects a multidimensional feedback system between hyperspatial and spatial information systems. This feedback system creates a holographic integration of particle and wave input and at the same time uses information already in place to create quantum coherence, ionic alliance, as well as information coherence, meaning and storage from this and from parallel dimensions. These three processes, particle, wave, and holodynamics, are observable in each sensory perception organ. The eye, ear, nose, tongue, hand, and skin are continually receiving particle, wave, and holodynamic information. Each organism is both receiving and sending information that exists only as a potential until the organism gives it form. The form chosen is dictated by the free will of each person. We do have free will. It is an interaction between the hyperspatial and the manifested plane. What becomes evident is that we exist in a dynamic field of consciousness. Each of these quadrants listed above are part of the consciousness. One cannot separate parallel worlds, the implicate order, quantum potential fields, the full potential self, holodynes, microtubulars, or human behavior from each other. Tubulin with their dimmer switches and maps the quantum coherence they create via the Gaborian transforms and Froelich frequencies are an integral part of our biology. These mechanisms correlate with our holographic, fine-grained, gross-grained filters as part of the whole dynamic of consciousness. They must be considered in any comprehensive model of consciousness and thus in any responsible theory of therapy. In this chart is the following. Okay, these are the charts, like you get some really good diagrams in there, and they basically show you theoretical constructs of consciousness and the mechanism of consciousness. It's like cognitive science. If you go along here, cognitive science only involves holodynes, microtubes, self-organized transformations, hierarchy learning. It doesn't include parallel worlds, full potential self, quantum potential fields, implicate order. The only one, like when you are getting into cures of anything, the only one is this holodynamics. It includes all of the awareness that we humanly comprehend right now in science. The only thing that's inclusive is this holodynamics. Like spiritualism is very, very, very limited in how you're aware of stuff. But all of these things, although sounds quite deep and somewhat meaningless, it is a matter of learning how you are sending and receiving information. Every cell sends and receives information just like you, a human body, receives information. So if you have any illness, that illness is communicating and it needs to speak with other systems. So it's sort of the groundwork that does heal all mental illness, that does treat and cure any disease. I'll continue.